So, welcome this morning, Anna, to the Miale Team. This is our Friday morning meeting, which we host every week. We call this our leadership and personal development meeting. And the purpose of this is really to dive into, personal stories, people that are around us who win at a high level, who've got a history of success, both in and out of our industry, because oftentimes we need to learn from folks that are outside of our industry to figure out what the heck they're doing. We get out of the bubble. And you're somebody who, in the last couple of years, we've become friends. We meet in the Gary rooms, occasionally in the Delta Sky Lounge on our way home, and most recently in New York at Exactly What to Say with Phil Jones. And I've figured out throughout the course of my career that I get very lucky to be in rooms with people like yourself, and learn from other high achievers who do amazing things. But I'm not the greatest translator in that I can learn a whole lot of stuff and then come back to the team and try to translate it, try to deliver what I've taken away, all these great big ahas and great learning moments. But I don't do nearly as good a job as just having it come directly from the person that we're learning from. So in this case, that's you. So thank you for joining us today.
I am so impressed, actually. Thank you for the warm invitation and a couple of things that are sort of making me chuckle. First of all, if you guys are on this call at 8:30 on a Friday morning, it tells me that you want more for your life, which makes you unique in its own way. So congratulations for showing up today. Most people in the real estate industry look at Friday as optional. It's typically a free day.
Yeah.
So you guys are here learning it. I also, you might have seen me playing with my filters earlier. If I look like I'm Magda from Something About Mary, I got a chemical peel yesterday. So you guys are getting me fresh. So I was
Well,
trying to look good for you, Matt, but it didn't happen fast
can't
enough.
can't tell from this angle. I've never had one
No, you
in
know
my
what's funny? Because we're all friends here. I don't know if I can drop a picture in the chat just to make y'all chuckle. I'll send you. So I
sure.
went and got this. I have a client who has a esthetician practice, and she ran like a special in the spring, and I bought all these things, and I was like, shoot, I gotta go use them. Well, I don't have a lot of free space on my calendar, and I taught wealth building to my team yesterday from 4 to 6 p.m., and I had come fresh out of this, and I had to take a picture because I was scared. I was scared to walk in the office, and like I kind of had to hedge my bets on what kind of jokes were going to come. So if I can figure out a way to send a picture into the chat, I'll do it. You guys can see it all.
I mean, now you've built it up. Now we're highly anticipating
I
the
will.
picture. So
I'll find it. I'll find it.
now,
It was,
Anna, what I like to do, and we've prefaced this by saying this is a pretty casual sort of Q&A conversation here. But what I really like to do is I like to hear from people and try to understand sort of how it got started for you, because you now are the regional director for one of our southeast regions. Which region are you running now?
just to be clear, it is only one Southeast region, and we are the award-winning Southeast region. So there's not to be
Only
confused.
one. Yeah. Okay.
It is all
Got
of
it.
Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And
All of Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And how many market centers are in that area?
we just launched 2 days ago our 65th market center.
Okay, so 65 team leaders, 65 operating partners, and how many agents in that region?
Just shy of 15,000.
15,000 real estate agents. Now, in addition to that, you run a real estate team.
I'm working every day to make that still be true.
Yes, right. So, and how many agents are currently on your team? And
So
tell
we
us
have,
just a little.
yeah, let me think about that. We have 9 agents. One of those people is like fresh off the boat. So he hasn't had a transaction yet, but he's awesome. Comes from the airline industry, very business mature. We set an avatar for our team in the last 2 years. We were just attracting people that wanted to learn from us, and I love that. But also, it's a win-win relationship. You got to bring stuff to the table in order to be a good fit for our team. So we've got 9 salespeople. We have 4.5 operations people, and then I get to spend maybe a half day to a day with them every month. Sounds kind of sad, but I'm on the phone with them a lot. We text a lot. I'm in all these group chats, so the energy is there, but I don't get to see them as much probably as you get to see your
How
people.
how long ago did you start the team? When did your real estate career start?
So I got licensed in 2006. I didn't start selling until 2008, which was, a great year in real estate. For
Great year
those
to start.
who trained in real estate, if you guys remember 2008. And then I ran sort of like, if you guys understand, the E to P model, like my natural ceiling of achievement, I was outgoing, I answered the phone, I create a lot of business for myself, but I just wanted to do it my way because I'm stubborn. And I
Mhm.
didn't understand that there were models and systems, and I had a very Frankenstein organization. And then I realized that my client customer service was suffering because I was trying to do it all, and I'm a control freak, and doing it at a high level was not possible to scale that. So I probably hired people for 3 to 5 years, sort of haphazardly, no AVA or KPA, no career visioning, just was like, oh, you seem cool. You want to come sell some real estate? And that backfired on me. And so I would say now that I'm 20, what year is it? 25. So it'll be 20 years next year. I would say I've been intentional about my business probably for the last 8 years.
What is that? What you say that intentional? What does that mean to you? When you say you've been like I think that word gets sort of set your intention. It gets sort of mixed up with like manifestation. But when you say you've been intentional about your business, what do you mean by that?
Well, you can build something tall, right, and hope it
Hmm.
stays, or you can build a base and then you can go tall and it's more foundational, right? So I would say
Hmm.
up until 8, 9 years ago, I would describe myself as highly successful team, but a complete house of cards. We were scotch tape and glue. We were just like put people wherever they needed to be, not in the right, seat on the bus, not the right personality for the role, and there would end up being a lot of burnout and frustration and triangulation and culture suck and all that stuff. And so I recognized that I needed to cast a vision for my people and what they were going to be inside of the organization, and that it was not, to be completely honest, when I started thinking about how I can make their lives better, everything else fell into place. When I
Hmm.
started thinking about selling more real estate, and I thought about it as growing people that are going to be out in the world serving the community and doing something bigger than themselves, the energy shifted. And then we started to use that cool little book called the MREA. There was
Oh
a
yeah,
or two in there,
yeah.
listings leverage, an org chart, got really clear on that. One thing I've been pretty good at, and I don't know how this compares to other teams in the company or for other brokerages for that matter, but I really understood that real estate, whether you're on a team or you're running a team, is really about learning how to run a business. So even if you're on a team or you're an operations person or you're a salesperson within an organization, you wear a leadership hat of your own business.
Hmm.
And you got to think like a business person. So I started getting into business with business people and not just people that wanted to be passengers. I got
Got
into
it.
business with people that wanted a partnership. So
You
that's
got in business with people who bought the vision, who understood what you were trying to build,
yeah,
aligned themselves with it, and then were willing to do the things that a business owner is willing to do. Because a business owner has a certain level of we're all embedded with a certain amount of masochism and sort of like we are prepared to suffer through things. It's like entrepreneurship, like versus the passenger that's saying like, well, I bought my ticket, it should be really comfortable, and what time is dinner, right?
yeah.
Whereas the business owner is saying like, hey, when we hit stormy seas, it's all hands on deck, we're all gonna pitch in here.
Well, the most
I
simple example for me, and I'll give you this. This is a really telling thing for me. We have a annual summit that we do up at my mountain house every year, and we're kind of outgrowing it at this point. But we all make dinner together. We get in the kitchen, and we all make dinner together. And I noticed that there would be some people that would just sit around the island, just sort of helpless when it was time to cook or prepare or set the dinner table or clean up. And there was like this it actually like blew my mind. Like put real estate aside, like as a human being, do you not
yeah.
there's a group of people working in unison to accomplish a goal. Can you not insert yourself in that? Like, do you understand that you're an ingredient in the cake? That you don't
Mm.
just get to be salt on the side. You got to come and you got to participate. So I think what's been really interesting, and as I've moved out of sales and less of a presence in my team on the day to day, the people that are in that organization, and I have 3 salespeople that have been there 5 years and an operations manager that's been there 5 years, and that's probably our longest run, to be honest with you. But now they are the ones sort of weeding out the people that are not willing to come and sit at the table and be a participant, right?
Yeah.
So they've created the energy and the culture that lets that survive, and it's no longer just Anna Kilinski. It's not Matt
Well,
Meow.
yeah, we call it the culture of a winning locker room. That,
Correct.
in a winning locker room, the performers will call out the non-performers because the team is not going to win if non-performers continue not to perform and continue to, to mail it in day to day. So I love that. I love the example of standing around a dinner table and seeing who picks up a plate. Who picks up a plate waiting in line for food to be ready and who starts setting the table.
Honestly, I think anytime you hire somebody, you should have like a lunch
A
or a
group event, yeah,
dinner.
yeah. What I think is interesting. I think that we have a team of high performers here, people that show up, like you said, 8:30 every single day. We get on a call and we do this kind of stuff. So, we hit the benchmark. But what I always think is funny is how how is it that people don't see it? You said it with the same sort of level of frustration and curiosity. Like, don't you see that everyone here is participate? How do you not know? What do you think that is? How is it that there's so many people in the world, and particularly in our business, that
Hey,
wind up not getting the sort of bigger picture of it all?
well, I'll say three things. I'll say that you cannot there's certain things that you can train people in real estate, right? You can train them how to get a buyer brokerage agreement. You can train them on how to overcome compensation objections. But I do not think that you can train work ethic. I do not think that you can train a team mentality. You can influence, but I feel like there's a core belief that you literally get from nurture and nature from being raised in the family that you're in. And I
Hmm.
have bent over backwards trying to motivate people. And it's not possible. There's no way that I'm going to motivate you. You either are going to be self-motivated or you're not. Now, I can give you
Hmm.
the playbook on a winning combination on how to win the Super Bowl, but you got to show up on the field and do the work every day. So I can't,
Hmm.
I have stopped trying to make people to make any sense.
Yeah,
The other thing
completely.
I'll say, and I'm being a leader over 15,000 agents, I want to elevate the standard of our industry. But I'm going to say something that I've noticed, and this has been true for me for 20 years. The real estate industry is comprised of, I'm going to call it 15% of those people are serious about what they're going to do every day and how that's going to affect their life. And maybe there's a 5% or maybe the more entrepreneurial spirit that are like running the teams or building the businesses. But let's say another 10% are the ones getting up and chopping the wood every single day. Our real estate industry is comprised of people that are hardworking, that want something more for themselves, or they are people that couldn't make it somewhere else.
Hmm.
And I hate to say that, and everybody's co-opt with a terrible agent that you're like, why are you here, dude? Just
Yeah.
because you fog a mirror doesn't mean that you should be slinging houses and people's investments, right? So we have to work alongside them. But honestly, that's what gives you the leading edge because you
Right.
just have to be a little bit better than that. Now, I'm not saying just be a little bit better than that. Y'all are way better than that. And I can tell you just because you're here. But in my opinion, it's not hard to outperform the majority of our industry if you show up and you provide value and you recognize that people need your help. That's
It's
baseline.
not.
Answer your
That is
phone,
it.
call people back, help your partners, like basic. Like there's no magic sauce here. It's just basic work ethic.
Mhm. Put a
So that's
little effort in, put a little effort in every day on the things that matter, and it does not take a lot, right? Yeah.
no, what is the saying? Ordinary things done by ordinary people consistently over time equals extraordinary results.
Hmm.
It's nothing special. I know we go to mega camp and family reunion, we're all looking for that nugget, that little silver bullet we can latch onto, and there we are. But it's
Yeah.
just the simple things done consistently over time. And that consistency will feel a lot like failure
Hmm.
because you're going to do it every day and you may not get a result every day. But one day it's going to pop. It's gradually, then suddenly, right? So
Well, I actually contend and share with the team often that I don't think it ever stops feeling like failure because you will always be pushing the goal line out. You'll always be changing what you're shooting at. Like, I don't wake up today, even with, one of the top teams in Connecticut consistently over the last several years and feel like we've won anything. I feel like we are grinding toward some next big challenge in order for the organization to get big enough for everybody who's said, yeah, I'm in, to go get what they want. So you sort of never get point. Like, I would suggest, Anna, and I would ask the question, be candid, how do you feel like you're doing at the regional level?
It's a great question. I actually have to get in alignment with that every day. I look at my position at the regional level and super transparently, it's not something that I built. It's like taking over a foster child. You love
Hmm.
that child, you care for it, you want the best life for it, but you didn't birth that baby. It is just simply not yours, and that dynamic is very different.
Right.
So
So it's ch-
I have
challenging, right?
it's challenging, but I have to get in line with a bigger vision. So if I just look at it from, okay, this is income, or I have a title and I get to go shake hands and kiss babies, it's going to be a very empty challenge for me. If I
Hmm.
go and I look at it, that, I taught a class the other day on pricing strategies, and God bless, I haven't sold a house in 4 years. So who knows how relevant that content was. But there was 200 people in the room. And I kind of felt like an imposter. I was like, these people know all this stuff. They know to ask what they want to sell for. They know to set the expectations at the listing appointment. They know how to prepare to get them to reduce the price. So I kept saying in my head, like, am I even providing these people value? And I had this one woman come up to me after class in tears. And she said, you said something to me that literally changed my perspective on how I've been approaching my listings. She goes, I have all these listings and I don't have I don't have a closing on the books. And I have been so scared to have this tough conversation. And you said this one thing. And she just came to me in tears. And I had to have the perspective that even in a room full of 200 people, if 199 of them left with nothing new, I just changed the trajectory of somebody's life, one person.
Hmm.
And we have to have the perspective that what we do matters, whether we know it or not. And so I attach myself to the idea that I've got 15,000 people that I have the opportunity to impact.
Yeah.
And maybe today's one, maybe tomorrow's zero, maybe the next day it's 200. Maybe for a month, when I'm in Canada, and it doesn't bring any value, but I have to zoom out and say, okay, why am I doing all this? Is it
Hmm.
for my ego? I don't think, as a person who believes that we are a spiritual being having a human experience, I don't think that we're here to have an easy ride.
Hmm.
I think we're here to
Yeah.
do hard things. And I think we're here to
S-
evolve and to develop other people's souls. That's what I think.
I love it. I love it. It's powerful, and it shows that you're aligned with there's like clarity, and your energy is palpable for everybody here, that you wake up, you're clear, you know what you got to do, you know what you got to knock down every day. And that some days you do it at an A plus and some days you do it at a D, but either way, you're getting out of bed tomorrow and you're getting after it. Take me back to the beginning. Licensed in 2006. You decide this is a career path for you. What brought you into the industry, and yeah, how
I
did you
didn't.
get here?
That's the funny thing. I did not decide. By the grace of God, I think real estate. I don't want to be so dramatic and say real estate saved my life, but real estate saved my life, and I didn't know it at the time. I was 25 years old when I bought my first house. I was working in the healthcare consulting industry. I went to school for information systems way before AI. I think I was coding C++ or something like that. And I had a really corporate job that I flew out on Mondays and returned on Thursdays. I had very little friends in Atlanta. My family was here, but I didn't feel grounded. And I kind of hit this rough spot in my 20s where I was like significantly depressed, like very depressed, skinnier than I am now. Picture me 20 pounds skinnier, didn't recognize myself in the mirror, had no direction, didn't know what I was doing. My brothers were mortgage lenders at the time, and they're like, you should buy a house. And I was like, dude, I make 48 grand. Can't buy a house. And they're like, actually, no, you can. And I think this was back when you could have like stated income. So don't,
Yeah, yeah,
but just hang in here with me. So I ended up
yeah.
haphazardly buying this duplex. It was this cute storefront, like grocery store thing. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. This builder had renovated it from like 1905. And it was, I'm from New Orleans, so I like bright colors. It was like orange and red. And it was just really super cute. So I ended up buying this house, put a roommate in there. She paid most of my mortgage. Then I had a tenant in the front, which actually net me a couple $100 a month. And so I'm like, oh my God, this real estate thing is really cool. But I was really more interested in the renovation process. So I kind of just abdicated all my responsibilities, quit my corporate job, went to go work for this builder for $500 a week, kind of like just kind of like subject to all the elements. Like I just was like a rudderless boat. I don't know how else to say it. But then I was 26, and then all my friends started getting married and thinking about buying real estate. And I was probably the youngest real estate. I mean, there's a lot of younger people that are in real estate now, but when I was in real estate in my 20s, there were not a lot of them. There were a lot of big gray hairs and older people in real estate. And so I just naturally had those opportunities, and that was great. But I didn't intentionally, I actually tried to stay out of real estate because my dad had started this thing called Keller Williams in the Southeast region, and my brothers were mortgage lenders. And I was like, I got to keep family dinners interesting. I can't do this too. But the builder was like, hey, I need you to sell these houses. And I was like, cool, cool. And I ended up selling them. He asked me to sell them for 1%, which I thought was a lot of money. I was like, awesome. And then what brought me back to life was that I had purpose again. I was helping these young couples find a home. And
Hmm.
it honestly just gave me it built confidence inside of me. I said, okay, here, there's something that I'm really good at. I can provide value, and all humans need to feel like they can make an impact. So real
Hmm.
estate, the way that I describe it, it honestly, it saved my life. So
I what I love about it is, I have such a low tolerance, sort of a low filter for the people that just like bitch and whine and moan about the industry all the time. It drives me bananas. Not
yeah,
because again, I'm always like, well, just get out. It's so easy to get out. Like you can just
yeah,
stop doing it. Like the complaining about like, oh, this business is so hard and so terrible. It's like it's actually not. It's not hard and it's pretty amazing. Like the opportunity for unlimited income, unlimited upside, doing nothing but learning how to say the right words to the right people at the right time.
yeah,
I mean, you don't have to lift anything. You don't have to drive any kind of specific car. You barely even need to own a laptop. You can do it all from your phone. And you can, like, where else is there an income opportunity that requires so little that offers so much? And there's a lot of that rhetoric out there. I mean, again, a lot of people suffer through it simply because they just won't get up and go do the work. So I love hearing a story of validation like, you know, hey, it saved me. I could probably tell a similar story. Real estate was inadvertently how you know, a career I landed in and wound up sticking with because it made a lot of sense to me. It made a lot of sense. So, what did you do? Give me to the tactical. You get the builder. Builder, you know, says sell these houses for 1%. You thought it was a lot of money. How do you then start growing your business? What do you do? What do you lean into? You talked a
yeah,
little bit about the team before, but like, what's
yeah.
Anna,
Hire
early
people
Anna?
for I didn't hire people for a long time. I mean, listen, I was the one that needed to get ready, to get ready, to get ready, to get ready. I was like, I gotta make my website, gotta have my cards look pretty,
Well, we
gotta
got
get
a few of
my
them on this
pretty.
call. We got some people like that getting ready to get ready. Sure.
You know, inaction breeds fear, action breeds confidence. I mean, that's just a reality. But like, this sounds so stupid and simple because it's not a silver bullet. It is just basic. I, we've all experienced the agent that won't call you back, that when you go show a property, never ask for feedback. You don't know, if the offer's been submitted because you can't get a hold of them. Like there's just basic stuff that you need to do to be successful. And at the time, I had no kids. I may or may not have been in a relationship. I didn't have any other responsibilities. And so I'm not suggesting this is your path, but I would say that I was willing to work the longest and the hardest.
Hmm.
I just didn't stop. I was a freaking machine. Now, I never did the short sales. I never did the expireds. I started with who I knew and I asked for an opportunity. And if they told me I was too young, I would say, point to where you feel like that's a downfall. Like, how about I'm the one that brings the energy? If they're like, hey, you're too new, I'd be like, okay, well, look at the person with the 15 listings. How are they going to prioritize yours? What if you're my
Hmm.
only listing and I put all my eggs and I put all of my energy behind your listing? Don't you have a better shot of getting it sold with me? Whatever the issue was, I had a reason that I could overcome it. So I just kind of doubled down on that. And I I think maybe like year 3, I again, 20 years ago, $100,000 might have felt like a lot of money. I don't know if it does to y'all or not today, but every real estate agent wants to make $100,000. And 20 years later, that's still true. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Things are way more expensive. So I was like, I remember like year three, I had made like $100,000, but I was burnt out. There was no more daylight. There was no more time. There was no more lack of sleep, no more, suffering on my health that I could give up to do more. And Holly Purcell, who's now married to John Prescott. So Holly Prescott was my first MAVS coach, and she was going around the country teaching, I guess, the MREA book. And I remember Holly getting on the phone with me, and I said, she's like, well, what do you want your goal to be? And I was like, I don't know, Holly. Like, I made like 110 this year. Like, how about 120? And she got all quiet. She was like, no, we're not doing that. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, we're going to double that. And I remember like the heat like rising up in my body. Have you ever felt that feeling of like overwhelmed, like
Hmm.
you're a psycho crazy person to have just said that to me? And I
Hmm.
like lost it. I ended up bursting into tears and crying and hanging up on her, and I ended up firing her. I was like, she
Pretty.
obviously doesn't understand
Right.
how broken I am right now. So at the same time, Bold was coming around, and Bold was new-ish, and I ended up taking Bold. And I will tell you that I was the girl that was crying every Monday in the classroom and just felt very impacted by it. Was kind of felt like it was speaking to me to push through my limiting beliefs and my ceiling, and just understanding that I needed to give up control at some level. And I didn't have the quote back then, but the reality is, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, you go together. And I didn't
Hmm.
know that then. I was like, well, I am the one that needs to do everything. I've got to have my hands in everything. And I
Hmm.
started giving things up slowly, like getting a contract to close person. I tried to do my own QuickBooks for freaking 5 years, and that is not my skill set.
Hmm.
So I didn't have a P&L, and then I started getting a P&L, and then I was like, gosh, I started dating my husband in like 2010, and I wanted to spend more time with him. And he had a 9 to 5 at SunTrust, and I was like, God, nights and weekends, I'll never get to see you, babe. And so I found somebody who really wanted to take around buyers, and I gave that up, and I slowly just started to donate things that did not bring me joy or make me money to someone else that could do it better. So
Hmm.
that's really the formula. And I think even if you are that someone for Matt or his team, there's something in your personal world or in your work world that you probably don't need to be doing, that you need to find a way to get off your plate. Maybe that's a college kid that can help out. Maybe it's somebody at home that like can take over cleaning your house twice a month or whatever, because time is money. And at the end of the day, you really need to figure out what's going to bring you joy or make you money, and then
I
everything
think
else.
though that I think the crucial part of that story though, Anna, is that at each point where you sought out and found leverage, you had reached an inflection where your next thing was clear. I think one of the early mistakes we see a lot of people do is they try to leverage so early, but they don't know what they're giving it up for, and so they wind up not filling their time with anything useful. And
Correct.
so they don't. So it's like, oh, I know I need leverage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hire somebody, and then they don't actually use the additional time to do the work or spend the time with their new husband or spend the time. They
Yep.
don't trade the time appropriately. So leverage is a skill. It's something you learn, and I think you learn it candidly by hitting that point where you literally don't. Use the term you have no more daylight. Like I think that's when you figure out what you give up, and it's so. I've shared this story with the team before, but literally the first experience I had with leverage that was life changing for me was hiring somebody to mow my lawn
Oh
because,
yeah.
and it was literally there was no more daylight because I pulled in the driveway day after day after day after it got dark, and the lawn looked like a crazy jungle. And my wife looked at me day after day like, when are you going to mow the lawn? And I was like, it's dark. I don't know. I have to go out tomorrow. I can't do it in the morning. I can't do it. I don't know. And I just hired a guy to mow the lawn, and I realized immediately it was the best 30 bucks I ever spent. The lawn looked better. The house, my wife was happy. And I no longer had to pull in the driveway and dread getting yelled at for
What's
not
the
being able to
value
do
of
it.
your wife being happy? What do you think the ROI
Yeah.
on your business is, right? I
Mm.
remember in a similar story, because my husband was working full time and we came home one day. I've been asking him to mow the lawn for a long time, like mow the lawn or hire somebody, mow the lawn or hire somebody. And he's like, I want to do it. It was like a manly thing that he like, if he gave up mowing the lawn, like, was he even a man? And
Yes. The
like,
answer is yes.
but the answer is yes. But one day we lived next to this cute little gay couple. They ended up coming over and mowing our lawn for us, and it was like the biggest insult. And I
Yeah.
was like, babe, is that your signal? Like, go hire somebody. And so done. We now have a lawn guy.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
love.
yeah, but I think though that the point is that people will always hear stories like this, particularly when we have guests come on and immediately jump to, yes, I need more leverage. But I think you've got to feel that crunch, that pain of no more daylight first. Like personally, I don't think you're going to do it right if you don't actually look at your calendar and say, I have no idea where I'm going to put the next client. I'm
Well,
at the
you
point where
know,
the next client that calls can't meet with me for 2 more weeks. I need to free up some time. Where am I going to find it? You've got
yeah,
to you've got to be that busy. Otherwise, you're going to waste the opportunity. You're going to hire leverage for the wrong thing, and you're going to go backwards.
100%. Yeah, I think that comes down to understanding that not all tasks are created equal,
Mhm.
right? Like there's either stuff that like, and this goes for the same for clients. Like leverage could be getting rid of that client that's dragging you down. I don't know how else to say that. Like, how many times do we spend our time either trying to fix that seller that is such a pain in the butt, or the buyer
Mm,
that won't get off the bus, or in some cases, the team member that takes sucks all the energy versus pouring back into the people that are actually your wealth determiners, right? The people
yeah,
that want more from you, but maybe there's a more set it and forget it, but they're the ones that need your time and energy. So if you know what you can replace that time with, then by all means, find the leverage to do that. And I know
mhm,
everybody's thinking about something that they could leverage, and they probably need to figure out what
100%.
they're gonna do instead.
So your career takes this path where you start figuring out how to buy back time, and you get committed to scotch tape and glue your team together, and you do that for several years, right? You're running your team, and I presume as the lead listing agent, boots on the ground, going on appointments every day, going out serving clients. How did you? What kind of model were you guys following? How was it? What were your primary levers and mechanisms that got you to the success that you guys got to?
Specialization, and being in fact, we need to have a meeting because I feel like things have gotten a little blurry. Like we're kind of like a big family. I'm sure you guys are like that too. And if you've had people on your team for a long time, or maybe they're in a leadership position, like we have pod leaders, they tend to start thinking like, I've been here a long time and I'm in this leadership position and I want to have an opinion on everything. And
Mhm.
what got me to the where I am is now becoming the problem again. So I have to sort of come up with a solution. So when I say specialization, I recognize, and this is not for everybody, every team is built differently. All of our people can do buying and selling, buying and listing, but especially in this market, there was a very big difference in skill set. And so we exclusively had buyer's agents, we exclusively had listing agents. And then what I realized from like a sphere perspective is I never wanted to rip somebody's person from them. So
Yeah.
we just came up with a model called the flip-flop model, that like if you can go and work the business in flip-flops and you don't have to interview for it, like that's your person. So it worked out for us. But what's happened is now we're like a tiny but mighty team, and I'm having to reset expectations for people because I don't need my pod leaders having an opinion on like the marketing piece that goes out, or and it's not that I don't value their opinion, but it's slowing them down, right?
Right.
When we were able to run at high speed, we were more like a sports car, and now we're like a little mini princess cruise ship. So those
Yeah.
take more time and effort to turn. You can't just whip around the corner like you want. And so now we're having to figure out, well, what does the model look like for a bigger team with bigger things on the line? And that just comes down to getting super clear about what is your role and what is your lane, and have
Yeah.
people stay in that lane. The other thing that I thought really worked well for us is I started teaching people about the business, and not just like, hey, you're a buyer's agent and like don't worry about what our cost of sales is or our expenses or our profitability. Now, like I don't go down into the weeds with them because it slows people down. But I started explaining to people why we were set up the way we were set up. At the end of the day, I mean, Rainmaker here, my split is the lowest, right? My profit margin is way lower than your split. So I had to explain to them that everything that we make is going back into the business. So then I got buy-in from our people, right? Like, okay, we're not going to go get flowers every time we go on a listing appointment because that's expensive. And that way we can't hire a listing manager to make more marketing materials for us. So they started thinking like business people. And I feel like that's where we kind of broke through our own ceiling of achievement. I think we were like at
Hmm.
65 million for a while. And then once we kind of got on board with that, we were then like 80, and then we were like 100, and then we were 130, and we're 140. So we're like, we just doubled down on understanding that there's a lane that I need to be in, but I also need to understand how I affect the whole. And sometimes decisions are made not just for me, but how it affects the whole. Because the moment that you start to just make decisions on a one-off here and there, everything becomes an exception and the model no longer works.
Yeah, you don't have a model if everything is an exception, for sure.
Correct.
What I love about how you just described that is it presumes, well, it allows for a couple of things that are really cool. One is that you talked about becoming intentional about your team, and that when I asked you what that meant, you said you look for people that were business minded, not just passengers along for the ride, which allows for you to treat them like grown-ups and show them this is how the business actually works so that we can do all the things that we want to do, right? And so you've identified who's the right fit for your winning locker room so that you can explain to them this is how the business actually works so that you can do all the things that you want to do. I think that's really powerful. And it lines up really well. It lines up really with the way we run our team also. I think you're looking at a bunch of business minded people who understand what our core principles are, why we operate the way we do, why we put pressure on certain things and not other things, which is really cool. I'm interested though. You're running the team. You're having this growth. You said you haven't sold a house in 4 years. So was there a transition from being boots on the ground in the trenches, selling every day, to saying, I no longer am at my highest and best as a salesperson on the team? And you then said, every deal will be done by someone else, and you stepped out. How did that, first of all, walk me through the thinking process because I'm super curious about that. And then the actual transition, and then now into a new, larger, much bigger responsibility, much larger footprint role. So walk me through how that last couple of years has looked.
Yeah. And there's a parallel to the leverage piece. Like if you don't know how you're going to replace your time, it's really hard to sort of move out of giving up the thing. So I'm sort of back
Right.
to your question. I gave up, well, COVID came and I had a listing specialist who is taking a lot of opportunity and she was doing a great job. And then I was like the main listing specialist. And I was like, okay, I want to move out of this role and give somebody else another opportunity, but I need to replace the cost of sales. Like, we need the business to grow enough to replace my income from the stuff that I would sell because I wasn't taking a commission. All of my sales would go into the business and then I would get whatever the end of the day was. So I had to look at a P&L that said, okay, we need to sell X many more units at this price in order for it to be the same net income to me so I can get out of the way and create more opportunity for you. And I think, sometimes we hinder our own businesses. I was the rainmaker and the lead listing person. That was great. But I also saw that other people wanted opportunity. And I knew that if I was in the day to day, going to listing appointments, lead generating all the time, and then trying to nurture my clients, I was not being the best CEO because I was not looking far enough ahead. I was not casting the vision. I was not looking at the systems and models. I was not a really great participant or guiding like hiring. It was almost like out of necessity versus out of intention. So I just kind of set the goal for a team because somebody wanted to come into the listing opportunity, and that was a very big role. And I said, okay, we can make that happen, but here's what needs to happen first. So we set a goal for the team. And the girl that I had in a listing position before I started to transition out, and somebody went on maternity leave, so I was kind of down a person, and then she decided to like briefly quit. She like quit for a week. She ended up
Okay. That's
she
disruptive.
quit. I'm gonna tell you why she quit. She quit because we had the worst operations manager on the planet, and she had
Okay.
pulled the wool over our eyes, and she had too much control, and the culture was cancerous. And so my top agent, what's the word in talent? Eagles don't want to land in a duck pond, right? So like
Right.
she was the cancer, and when you have cancer on your team, you lose talent. So my
Mhm.
talent walked out the door, and I kind of panicked because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go back into taking on listings. And that's when I said, okay, everybody's going to be able to take listings. We did the flip flop thing, still had still had buyer's agents, still had listing agents. But then I sort of trained everybody to have more than one listing person. So I was never going to be held hostage in my business again. So once we got things stabilized, I knew intentionally that I didn't know what my opportunity was yet. Like this regional thing was not on the table. But I knew that if I wanted to have a bigger opportunity, whether that was OP or maps coach or running a wholesale business or whatever, I couldn't do it in my current capacity. So I needed to start to
Mhm.
free up my time so that I had the combination of luck and preparedness with the timing, right? So I would say about a year into getting off of the payroll of the listing agent side, this opportunity, well, actually, Gary, I went to Austin to do this labs thing for command for teams. I was not invited, but I knew Dave Voorhees, and Dave was like, we're doing this mastermind with this labs thing for big teams, and Lance Loken was going, Sarah Reynolds was going. Who else was in that room? There's a bunch of big teams, like maybe 12 rainmakers. And I was not flying with those Eagles. I was a small peanut. But I kind of busted into that room and I was like, I want an opinion because I understand tech and I care about this tool and I want to be able to use it. So I'm going to insert myself. He's like, come on, just buy a ticket. So I bought a ticket, went to Austin, barged my way into this room. Gary was there, Josh Team was there, and we were building this interface and how it was going to look for teams. And we had these little breakout sessions. And I volunteered to like lead the group of leaders. And Gary didn't know who I was, and he knows who my dad is because he was in partnership with them, but he didn't know that my dad had a daughter. And he asked somebody, he's like, who is that? And somebody's like, well, that's Anna Kilinski. She's Bob's daughter. She runs a mega team. He's like, I want to have lunch with her. Have her come down to my office at noon or whatever. So here I am, agent, kind of intimidated, never really spent one-on-one time with Gary, even though I'm in his mastermind, there's 200 people in there, I'm, in the sea of people. And he comes downstairs and he says to me, and my dad is amazing. If you don't know Bob Kalinski, he's 83 and can dance, all night and probably has more fun and energy than any of y'all. But Bob is like, it's time for Bob to go live his best life. And Gary goes, hey, I just want to know what your dad's succession plan is. And I was like, what? Like, Gary, I'm not asking him that. He's my dad. Like, that question, you can ask him. Like, don't ask me that. And it started this 2.5 year process of Bob understanding that if he wanted the region to go to the next level, he needed to replace himself with somebody that had gas in the tank. Not that he doesn't have gas in the tank, I should say, but he just knew that what got us here wasn't going to get him there. And that Keller Williams was becoming this younger, more relevant group of people versus the people that started the company in the region 25 years ago. So he had to understand that he calls it, he goes, everybody has a use by date, which I love that analogy.
Mm.
And he just had the foresight, took him a minute to say, you know what, my daughter is qualified. She's proven that she can run a profitable business. She understands the culture and she's no BS. And so I could not have even started that conversation if I was stuck heads down trying to grind out listing appointments every week. So all this
More
is
more more impactful to me, one of our sort of core tenets that we live by on the team is get in the room. I use that language all the time. I say you got to get in the room. I love stories of not being invited and showing up anyway, kicking the door in, and then also the more important part, showing up with enough value in the room that somebody says, I'd like to have lunch with that person. The key is that most people are waiting to be invited somewhere. Most people think that it goes that way. You think that someone's going to call you and be like, I've noticed how amazing you are. And I think you should show up in my world. And it does not happen that way unless they're selling you something, right? That's what
Correct.
recruiters do, right? So you all have gotten that call where somebody tells you, "Oh, that's a recruiter. They're selling you something." But if you want to be in the growth rooms, you have to find your way in. You have to get a crowbar and you have to push your way in. And sometimes you got to buy tickets and you got to pay money and you got to get on airplanes. You got to fly across the country and you got to make new friends. It's just part of how it works. I love that story, Anna. Didn't know that.
But most of the success that I've had in this company has started in a hallway conversation at an event that was really about something else. So, like, I love that you go to mega camp and family reunion, you sit in the chair and you listen to the things and you take a lot of notes. But the value is who you become by meeting the people that are outside of your zip code, right? Like going to sit in that room in New York. I mean, that is a bunch of high powered people listening to Phil Jones. Like, that's a
Yeah.
game changer, right?
Yeah.
So Kay Evans, who's regional owner, who's partners with my dad, she says that everything is a platform, right? So like that room that I was in with labs was a platform, but then you need to be so good that you can no longer be ignored.
Yeah.
Any opportunity that you have is going to be because you've done the job before you got the title.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that concept. Everything is a platform. Every role, everything is a platform to whatever comes next. You just have to know what you're shooting at.
100%.
Anna, it's been an awesome conversation. We've got about 10 minutes left if you've still got it.
Yeah.
And I would love to open it up for questions from anybody here. Questions, comments. What did you hear? What did you learn? Go ahead and throw up your hands, guys. Anna spent an amazing amount of time with us this morning, offering some incredible insight into her career path. What are you guys thinking? Aaron Anderson taking the lead as always. Love it. What are you thinking, Aaron?
Well, I could listen to you all day, Anna. I feel like
Sweet.
I could relate a lot to your story. And I have a couple questions for you. So number one is that you talked about creating an avatar for your team, and I know you spoke a lot about someone understanding the team mentality, and being someone that wants to contribute and move fast and do their job. But have you identified, let's call it like 5 qualities that you definitely look for in someone that you think not only will have success as a real estate agent, but would be a good fit for the kind of team environment that you've created? That's my first question.
Okay. So qualities of our avatar. What I can do is I can email Matt our avatar because we put it together for our hiring package. So it kind of goes back to a lot of the things I was saying earlier. There is this grittiness that we look for. Like when we interview somebody, I ask them what the hardest thing that they've ever had to overcome in their life is. And if they can't come up with something, I hate to say it, relatively profound, like they're probably not a good fit. If they're like, well, I had a really tough breakup, 5 years ago. God bless you. I don't want you to have a hard life, but we have found that the people that tend to thrive in our organization are people that like grew up in a trailer park, lost their
Mm,
mom at a young age. I mean, I'm not asking for you to have something terrible happen to you, but you've heard these stories, the people that Gary brings up on the stage is like, they have had to climb out of something. And
yeah,
that
there's
isn't
a theme. There's a theme there. There's a theme that you can see for sure.
Yes. So, do you have a reason? Do you have the grittiness to keep going when things get tough? Okay. That's one. Two is it a we or a me? Like, if they're there because they want to know what is coming out of it just for them, and they don't ask how they can contribute to the pie, then we're probably not a good fit. Like somebody who wants to, I always say, do you have a star team Or do you have a team of stars, or do you have a star team? And those are two very different things. If everybody is working individually for their own thing and they don't see how working for the collective, like going back to the whole locker room mentality, you ever watch the Last Dance with Michael Jordan and that entire series? Well, there is no championship, there's no Globetrotters, there's no the dream team if Scottie Pippen can't show up for Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan can't do it by himself. So there's this testament to like, show me a time where you've been an integral part in something bigger than yourself and how you contributed to that. Or is it just like, hey, I want to learn everything that you have and take all your systems and then go open my own thing? Like, cool, I love that for you, but that's not what we're about. What are some other, without looking at the words, you know, I think somebody needs to be humble. Don't do well with big egos. I think that this entitlement ego thing is just not going to get you very far. You got to come with curiosity and humility into a setting like we have in our organization. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't come with a lot of opportunity, but I think that the humility goes a long way. So what do we talk about? Grittiness, team player, humility. Okay, the other one is you got to be growth minded. You have to have the mindset that if you can apply time over task and not give up, that you can actually get better at something. So like that, I'm going to hop on these calls and I'm not just going to tune out and check my emails. I'm actually going to listen because there's probably going to be something that I need to hear today that maybe I didn't know that I needed to hear. And that's going to help me with whatever I've got going on. And you're willing to ask the questions. And then I like people who lead in the absence of leadership. So kind of going back to that waiting to be invited, like there were countless days where I couldn't get on our own huddle and for whatever reason. And if somebody was just like waiting around to like, well, Anna's not here, step up and lead. Just do it. Might be uncomfortable. You might not know what to say. Take the risk. So there, I mean, I can go on. I'm going to tell you all the things that I really
great.
Like, just like take the risk. Like the other thing that like a personal win with me is be irritating. Like I have 15 people on my team. I'm not going to consistently reach out to you and schedule a quarterly coffee. I'm just not. I don't have that kind of capacity. If you want my time, I want you to ask me. And if I don't give it right away, I want you to ask me again. And if it falls off my radar, I need you to ask me again. And I need you to have that mindset on everything. Like, okay, that's follow-up. That's lead generation. That's the opportunity I didn't get this week. That's a, hey, I know we talked about this thing, this wealth building, this luxury thing that we wanted to build, but like we haven't gotten to it yet. Follow up. Keep doing it. It's not that it's not important. It's just that I'm one person, right? So if you apply that to any mentality for anybody on the team or any client or prospective person out there or opportunity, you're going to have a big life. So I mean, I can go on and on.
That
was guitar, and I'll send it to you. I'm happy to share that.
That was great. And I think, you know, when I ask those, whenever I hear answers to questions like that, I immediately just kind of look at myself and like check the boxes. Where am I? Like, am I doing those things? Could I be better at those things? And I just like encourage everybody to really think about that, because whether or not it's in real estate, that also applies to everything else in your life. And you said some things that are just, you know, they're good to hear. So thank you. I'll let Aaron go. And if we have time, I'll ask my second question. Thanks, Aaron.
Take it, EB.
Okay. All right. So first of all, thank you so much for everything that you said. Your energy is absolutely contagious. Oh, we have a
breakfast.
Breakfast.
Ooh,
leverage.
I need to sign up for that leverage.
That's good.
So I just want to tell you, you're so motivational, and it's no surprise that you're a leader. You're just magnetic. And when you speak, it's like, I'm listening. I'm hanging on every word. I have frantically taken notes, and I appreciate everything that you've said. Just a couple of takeaways. You have, not that I didn't know before today, but you have absolutely solidified that I am with my right tribe. There are so many parallels to how you function and how Matt functions. There's like so many like things that are very similar between the two of you and how you build teams and what your mindset is and what your goals are and how you foster relationships with people and really how you manage your team. So it's kind of cool. I kind of joked at the beginning, I think you're like the female version of Matt a little bit.
I've been sitting here scrolling on the Zoom and I can't, like, I haven't gotten to the end yet. How many people are in your organization?
Depends on the day, Anna. You know, it depends on the day. We get some people that quit once in a while too. You know, they're in, they're out, but we're about 30 total.
That's incredible.
People.
Well,
yeah.
You're aspirational, so I'll take that as a compliment because I'm
well, I just wanted to share a couple takeaways because I have a ton of notes, but I just wanted to share, like, when you said the consistency may feel like failure, I think that's really important for seasoned people and for new people to hear that, like,
Absolutely.
doing the thing every day, day in and day out might not feel good, but that consistency is what brings results, and you're a testament to that. So if you stuck it out and you're where you're at, then anyone that's feeling like doing the thing and the job every day isn't for them. They're not doing it long enough, right? So you're not failing enough. You haven't failed around and found out, right? So you need to fail around and find out a little bit more.
Found out. I love that.
Yeah.
God, I'm adopting that.
So I love that you say it may feel like failure. Well, that's great. Failure is a part of success. So I loved that you said that because that's part of for me as a person, and I think for any realtor, consistency is one of the hardest things. Every day doing the thing every day. So that resonated with me. And then when you said we hinder our own businesses, girl, that's me all day. So that really sat with me. And then when you said, I'm a people person, I'm a high I, and I really love to help others. And that's one of the reasons why real estate works for me is because I feel like I'm helping. And you said, we're here to do the hard things and help others' souls. Take me to church. Like, you just had me at hello right there. So, like, I could go on because my list is longer of your stuff, but I don't want to take any time away from Shane or Erin's second question. But just thank you so much for your wisdom today. What you've said and how you've inspired our team is just
so kind. Well, if Matt wants to have me back and we can just do a woo-woo session, I'm happy to go in there.
Yeah, let's do it. We're all about the woo-woo. We love it.
Come or not come, just like I'm in this whole phase of life right now. It's way bigger than this earth to me.
Awesome.
What's going on?
Shane, what are you thinking? Take us home, Shane. What are you thinking?
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Anna. Well, kind of similar to what Aaron B just shared, just a lot of gut checks. And I think you have to be able to take the gut check and not hide or run from it and let it hurt for a minute and then just acknowledge it. But not even that. It's just that you've experienced those. You had a gut check, you still gut check. And that's the only thing that's going to grow you. Like, you have to own it and move on. And it's part of the process. And I think that's where a lot of people just say, I can't do this, I'm going to disappear. And it's just rising above that. And it's so much easier to say it than to do it. But you're doing it, you have done it, you've made those mistakes. And to just say, like, so it makes, my point is, we're all feeling that, we've all felt that, and we'll continue to feel it. And just know that's just part of being in the room, and just keep pushing and just get better.
One of the things that like a core value that I have is authenticity. Like, I just love people that are authentic. I feel like it is human nature, the ego, that causes us to try to look good and be right all the time. And there has been a lot of freedom in really expressing to people whenever they ask where I am or what's my journey been like or how am I now, is to just say, open the kimono and say, this is a shit show. It's a total shit show. Like, maybe it looks good to you, but like, it's hard. And I'm not great at this. And I wake up every day wondering if I'm providing value or if I'm good enough, or do I even regional operating partner? I'm the regional operating partner of the largest independent franchise in the entire world and the largest real estate in the country. Like, that's crazy to me. Do I deserve to be there? But like, okay, those self-doubts are there, but I still got to show up. I still got to do the thing. May not do it perfect, but I'm going to try again tomorrow. So there's so many people, and I'm not suggesting anybody on this call is doing that, but in our industry, in our world, I don't want to use the word poser. It sounds stupid, but like,
yeah, it's a good enough word though. It's pretty appropriate.
So much energy trying to present a certain way versus just living it out. Just go be it. Go be you. Stop trying to put on. Admit when you're struggling. Share your wins. Ask for help. And just like put it down. Put
The
it down.
crazy thing is how rewarding it is. And you said it. And people on this team I know have experienced it. It is so rewarding to just come to honesty about that, about the authentic you, and this business will reward you for it massively. The more authentic you show up, the more business you'll attract. And so the more you try to appear to be something that you're not, the more you repel people. Because people can tell. And so there's this like really challenging sort of wake up one day and just be yourself. Like it sounds like a Charlie Brown cartoon, but like it's the truth. And it is so, so rewarding. I love ending on that topic. Thank you, Anna. So,
All right.
but thank you, Anna. Thank you guys.
Hey,
Thanks
listen,
for everybody.
We're in Atlanta. So, but also if you have anybody in the Southeast that needs a referral, if I can tell you who. So think of me for anybody for Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama. I'll tell you who our best person is. But
Anna, what is your Instagram? What's your Instagram?
Let me put it on here. Anna K. Sells ATL is my personal, and then Anna K. in town is my work.
Well, thank you, Anna. Thank you.
All
You
right,
made a difference
guys.
this morning. Appreciate you very, very much. Thanks, everybody.